Oh, hi, family. What is up? It is your girl T, aka Nappy Headed Jojoba. Not Nappy, damn sure not jojoba. Nappy Headed Jojoba. You have to say the whole thing. It's like a pimp named Slickback. And I'm going to do my best not to say the F word or the S word or any of the other words because I don't want this to be demonetized. Today, it's an airing of grievances. You know, this video was one that I've had on my mind for a good while now because my friend who I'm about to bring on in a moment, she did a video not too long ago where she was talking about like music of the 90s and knots that just had a certain place in her memory. And one of the songs was Freak on a Leash by Korn. And she went into this rant that had me cackling about how we just allowed Jonathan Davis to scat and like we just allowed that to happen as a society. And it got me to thinking, you know, how many things did we let slip by because we didn't have the force that is Black Twitter that we have now? Now, caveat, most of y'all know, my real ones know, I ain't even on Twitter. I ain't never been on Twitter. Nonetheless, I am very aware of the force that is Black Twitter, both as the vibranium of Black culture, the generation of constant jokes, culture, thought, etc., while also being a cesspool. That's why I'm not on there. But also calling people to the carpet, you know, holding people's feet to the fire when it needs to happen. I think perhaps if Black Twitter had existed at certain periods and when certain things happened in the 90s and noughts, we would not have let them slide. So with that, I'm going to introduce my two friends, Audra at home and Emily Han. And we have put together, hello. I put 5 in the title, but that's just to make people quick because it's the internet and people like listicles. X number of blah, blah, blah. But like, whatever. We're just going to talk about however many things we came up with. I actually do have 5 of my own, and y'all have however many y'all have. So thanks for joining me, friends.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So Audra, I kind of gave the Cliff's Notes version of your video, but I need to, her channel is already linked in the D box, but in case they didn't see the video that kind of sparked this idea, you've done another one since, so just kind of take us through it.
Well, okay, so I love Freak on a Leash, right? I love Korn, I love that song. But while I was like reminiscing on my memories about like 90s music and like that 90s like rap metal moment, I was like realizing how dumb it was that he was scatting. And what's worse is like I knew how it went, like da boom da boom da. Yes. And I was like, oh, I'm so sad for myself.
I scatted along with that
you did
song. And I shouldn't tell that story. That's a bad story for me to tell.
It's so embarrassing, like when you realize, and then I just thought, like, how did we let him do that? And we all thought it was fine.
Like, yeah,
I know. And like when he got to the go part,
fine that it was like the best shit, so like cool,
like as if the white boy dreads weren't bad enough.
Oh my god,
this MFer is out here scatting.
I know. He just was like, and we just. Like nobody did anything. And I feel like if Black Twitter had been alive at the time, we really would have like roasted him and been like, bro, like don't be doing this. And the memes
would have been at least one person to start the conversation of hold on. You know?
I feel like that WB frog would have shown up in yeah.
Speaking of times we needed Black Twitter in the 90s because that shit was racist.
Yes. That was my other one. It was like the WB frog because gee whiz. That was wow. How did we let that be a thing?
There's so many things, but I mean, that's kind of what this video is about. I feel like because communication isn't what it is now, and there are a lot of downsides to communication being instant and feeling like you always have access to people, and also feeling like your thoughts need to be heard because that's also
your opinion is valid.
Yeah. But I also do feel like there are certain times where Black Twitter has saved us, or at least pointed out things that need to be pointed out and said no.
Full stop. Like
yes. So, okay. So I don't know if Jonathan Davis's scatting is one of your official ones on this list, but I'll go first because this one's kind of simple. It is on the thumbnail. And let me see if I can actually figure out how to do this. But I'm going to share my screen if I can figure out how to do these.
Get fancy.
This,
Oh, Lord.
we needed Black Twitter.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
And not just for this particular thugnificent Timberlake, but in general, I feel like perhaps Justin Timberlake could have been stopped if we'd had an aggressive campaign vis-a-vis Twitter. And we wouldn't have had to deal with his beatboxing and in general trying to be the unmelanated, well, actually even more unmelanated on account of the vitiligo, Michael Jackson. Because he was just ripping off Michael Jackson, but then also trying to be a hip hop guy. And don't get me wrong, there are quite a few Timberlake songs that I actually still enjoy to this day. But him as a person is very much like, this is a face that I want to punch.
Yes, for real.
Many times.
He does it not feel. I felt like he was trying to be like white Usher.
Oh, that too. Yes,
absolutely.
I think they were trying to like out Michael Jackson each other for a while because Michael was also very that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also very much like White Usher. It's just like the bandana as well, the chain. It's just
like, why did he have the band? I forgot he wore the bandana.
Remember the blinged out bandera era?
Oh God,
that's hard to say.
Let me be free of this. Like, somebody even said that this image popping up counts as a jump scare, and I agree. Like,
claps to that statement because yes,
like when it showed up, like I was instantly transported to just like a bad time where like white guys were just wandering around. Just white people in general had cornrows, and like there was
the white boy dreads.
Yes, the white boy dreads. Honestly, still break my heart today. Still
around, but not as prevalent, because if I remember correctly, there were not one but two guys in Korn, the prototypical example of times we needed Black Twitter. Two of them had white boy, at least two, maybe three.
Yeah, and the entire band POD had white boy dreads.
Oh my God,
POD was my shit for like. Oh, excuse me, POD was my business.
We're good. We're past the 2-minute mark.
I'm like, oh no. Yeah, POD was my business, and then like and they had those really long ones, you know, like the Bob Marley, like the Marley dreads.
This is we had a movie that we watched Honey with the Nat Fam a week or so ago, and there's a character in that who's just like, if cultural appropriation were a person, it's this character.
And it's funny because one of the movie nights, I think is when you mentioned this, and that, or right after we did a movie night with Save the Last Dance, the first thing that popped in my head when you mentioned this, akin to the cornrows, were all of the twisties that the girls had. Like all of the like half your head was pushed back and twisted with all the butterfly clips and all of this. And I was just like, no, we needed Black Twitter then.
Yeah.
As somebody who definitely tried that trend myself, I needed Black Twitter to be like, no,
put that away.
It's not for you, boo boo. It's not for boo.
And it wasn't even cute. I will stand by that. It wasn't even cute. I don't know what we were on.
It wasn't, because it was a modified cornrow is what it was, but like they put butterfly clips in it to make it like not be
because we have no hair.
I don't think they had the self-awareness. Like, we should probably make this not a corner. Like, I don't think they cared. I think Flat Twist just had a moment, like, because I remember wearing them too, and I was just like, these don't last as long. I'm going back to cornrows. But
they hideous.
He had a moment at that time.
I used to have two of them
first, because it's always there first, and then it became mainstream.
See, I didn't wear mine like the whole head thing. I wore like one on this side wrapped around and like one on this side wrapped. And the amount of times I would be out like boozing it up and having to like redo them while I was just like, this is so dumb. Who decided that this was a hairstyle? Because it won't stay in.
I fully remember getting a style where I had the flat twist in the front, and I think I had the only time I've ever had crochet hair in the back. And I remember my math teacher literally like rooting me in the middle of class, because this is the kind of shit that happens to you when you're a Black girl. And I was just like, wow, I really hate it here. Like, because she was just like, I just want to see. I was just like, so you're putting your fingers that have been God knows where in my fucking scalp in the middle of class.
Oh my God. Do you know that's why I carried a lighter all the time, aside from the smoking, but I carried a lighter all the time so that people got to listen. I was volatile when I was younger, and I would literally just be like,
no, this is little T, who was the only black girl in class. So I just had to swallow my rage.
Oh, I would not. I don't know that I could swallow that.
Yeah, it's all coming out now, Audra.
See, like, yeah, my Taurus nature won't allow the swallowing. I know, right?
Listen, I'm like, all of the rage that comes out in 2021, it's like, yeah, I know that's been, I don't know, but I know it's been packed away and it's just getting released now. Also, Christina or ex-Tina was also White Girl Dread.
Oh, Lord.
During the dirty era.
That always bothered me, that like, because I loved that era, but it always bothered me that it was her dirty era and she was also
hanging out with Redman.
Yeah, that.
It's like, why?
And like
what?
rapping.
Why do you got to be dirty just to hang out with rappers? What are you trying to say, ex-Tina?
But see, speaking of Christina Aguilera, this is a thing that I really wish Black Twitter had been there for and put a stop to, was like the ridiculous white girl runs in every song that they did, where it was just like, I was like, we get it. You can sing and that's fine, girl. But like, we don't need 42 runs in like each line of the song. They're like, oh man. That was that whole era of doing that. Yeah. I wish Black Twitter had been around because they were like, calm down, babe. You can sing. Like, we don't need all that.
we can hear your voice. You're good. Yeah.
Because she could blow. I just never understood. Like, she kind of got out of it finally. But it was like, girl, you could blow. None of us need all those runs. It's excessive.
Okay, but this also makes me think of another, speaking of somebody that does runs, the moment that Mariah Carey went from pop to hip hop.
After her divorce, she was just like, I'm free. I'm going to hang out with a bunch of rappers.
Because like her first album was one of my first. I think I had it. Yeah, Honey. I was gonna say it was the Honey moment.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah. But like I had her very first album on a cassette tape, and I think that was one of the first ones I ever bought. So I followed her career with great interest, and it's so funny to think about it now, where I'm like, what happened here? But I forgot about her divorce. It felt like such a switch.
Yeah. It was sharp because she was hanging out with ODB and like the whole thing. May you rest in peace. I'm never gonna forget.
Pacifiers. But it was such an abrupt shift because it was like she was wholesome.
She had a vision of love.
Divorce, and then she was like, "Here I am."
Yes. And
like
it was
the chopper with
the curls loosened. They got more wavy. They've been like the like young, like tight curls, like very.
The clothes got so small.
Yeah. Oh yeah, straightening her hair. Thank you, Lady Blurred.
Yeah, it was. I remember that because I remember when that came out.
Some enhancements, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, her body definitely changed.
Yes.
Yeah, and she had that weird incident, I feel like, with Carson Daly and like butterflies.
Right. Yeah. For which, that actually came up again recently in like social medias. And I don't know why exactly, but it really was not fair to her, apparently, the way that whole moment was portrayed, where it made it seem like she was just crazy.
Yeah.
But they acted like she like ambushed him in the studio when it was a completely planned appearance. It was just like, what's going on, Mariah? You're crazy. And
yeah.
I forgot about that, actually.
I didn't really remember it in the first place, but for some reason, that whole incident was making its rounds on social media again recently.
I just remember that because I disliked Carson Daly immensely. And especially after he was dating Tara Reid, and when they broke up, he really made like a lot of noise about how she liked to party and he did it. And I was just like, you didn't like, she was going through some stuff, bro. Like, gross of you to throw her under the bus like that. Like, I didn't like it.
Also, there's nothing wrong with plastic surgery, but it's how it's used.
Yeah, I never feel like there's anything wrong with it. Just be honest. Like, stop. Like, if you leave, like, listen, y'all gonna know if I get mine done. Okay, if my T-tots get, I'm gonna be saying it.
It will be a party for everyone to come look and tip.
Thank you. There will be an entire TikTok reel transition of me being like flat chested, big chested.
But also Gwen Stefani is mentioned. And speaking of another musical artist who I love,
she came to mind, but I was just like, I have a feeling one of y'all is going to bring her up. So I didn't
go ahead.
Just queen of all of the cultural appropriation. And there was
the appropriation.
Yeah. And it was very, very trendy. And there just became a moment. And I think it was both a moment for me growing up and also a moment for her where I feel like she completely jumped the shark, that I finally was like, oh, and I think that was around the Harajuku Girls era. But she's been doing it for decades.
Yeah, that mine was a hollaback girl moment
for Ms. Stefani. That was like, oh, I'm a pro at this.
Yeah, because she literally went from like her No Doubt, like.
But even in No Doubt era, her style was totally appropriate because she was doing the bendies from like.
Well, yeah, that's true. She was doing the bendies, but like I'm remembering like the Just a Girl. Or Spiderwebs video. And like, I remember her coming out and just being like, white punk rock girl. And I was cool. Like, and then Holla Back Girl is what really sent me on my next level. Cause I was like, cause she was like trying to do, like, she did that walk. I heard that you were talking shit. And I was like, is anybody else saying this? Is it just me? Have I taken the pills? Like,
even just the vocabulary. Sorry, y'all. I don't normally drink on a school night, and I literally have class tomorrow. But it's just like, I'm going to need to imbibe for this. Just the vocabulary. Holla Back Girl. I mean, that ain't yours, honey. That's not from Orange County.
Yeah.
Even though it was her like clap back to Courtney Love, it's still.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
What happened with Courtney Love?
What didn't happen with Courtney Love? She was always talking smack about somebody. Like, and she said something, I can't remember what it was, but she said something rude about like Gwen Stefani. And so Gwen Stefani fired back with Holla Back Girl. Cause like, if you listen to the lyrics, which I know we all only remember BANANS, but like,
well, it's so like the cadence of it is so juvenile. I actually do remember. Yeah. I heard that you were talking shit and you didn't think that I would hear it, and that's exactly when I changed the station.
It's very cheerleader, like it made me think of like a very cheerleader, like rah 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 thing. Which I don't want to insult you, Audra, because I know you have actual cheer experience.
I was a cheerleader.
It was very like BANAN. I forgot how to spell bananas. I'm sorry.
It was. How could you forget? She spelled it for us. She taught us. That's how I spell bananas to this day. I know it's sad.
I got into my cheer mode and just lost all.
Banana is one of those words that it's actually pretty easy to fuck up. There's a comedian named Dimitri Martin, and he's just like,
oh, I love Dimitri Martin.
You're like, banana, no, that's not enough. Banana up, went too far.
I used to watch Dimitri Martin all the time.
Same, Audra.
Yeah, I kind of worked with him on a show a million years ago, so I knew him a little bit. It was really fun to work with it.
Because like,
name drop.
That's how I got into Mitch Hedberg. I feel like for some reason I got into Mitch Hedberg because of Dimitri Martin, and I feel like somehow I was watching something, and I'm never gonna forget Mitch Hedberg talking about like the batteries.
Mitch Hedberg was brilliant.
One of my all-time faves. I miss him. Yeah. I think about him every single year that he's been gone. But I don't remember the batteries joke.
Because he was talking about why they don't have B batteries, and they'd be like. Give me the batteries. And I was undone. Like I had to pause and leave because I was like, sir.
I might have to go on a deep dive tonight after we're done and watch some old Mitch Hedberg, because that just hit a part of my soul. That
that battery thing, like I'm never gonna. It always took me out because I was just like, I never thought about it.
One of my favorites is he's talking about franchise restaurants. He's just like, you ever notice with franchise restaurants, it always says Prices and participation may vary. So they can kind of do whatever the hell they want. Like, you can go to McDonald's and be like, welcome to McDonald's. We got spaghetti and bacon. It's just like, I love that surreal, like, what are you talking about kind of humor.
Yes. I always felt like,
edge.
Yeah, it was just something like you were just, like, I just didn't feel like he was doing a show, I think was the thing. Yeah. I just felt like you were like hanging out with this guy who's telling you stories and you're like, his stories are the best.
And one of the most endearing things about him is he had such horrible stage fright, which unfortunately was part of his addiction. He would sometimes do his entire set just looking at the wall because he couldn't stand to like feel people's eyes on him. So he would just turn around and do his set that way, which anyway.
Yeah, sorry, because I was just about to go, yeah, that's Till Lindemann. That's why they have all the fire for Rammstein.
My second official pick for this list, I will bring this up as well.
Oh, please don't. I'm scared. Jump scare, trigger warning. Trigger warning.
It's white boy braids again.
Oh God! Oh my God! Is that David?
Yes, that's David Beckham, and I picked him in particular because I wanted to be clear just how prevalent and ubiquitous this problem was, and we needed someone to intervene. We needed Black Twitter.
We really did, because David Beckham was beautiful. Still is beautiful.
He still is.
Just a beautiful man.
The Timberlakes of the world walked so that Bex could run. If it hadn't been for, if someone had stopped Timberlake, this would have never happened.
And it does not look good.
This was now being excused as sporty for some reason.
Do you see his scalp screaming?
That. Yeah.
It doesn't. Look, this was not for y'all. I mean, this is
what I was saying about the twist earlier. They were not for us. And the reason why we needed to add butterfly clips is because of how much scalp is just out and sad. So we were adding butterfly clips to distract from the sad. That's my reason for it. So, like, it's not at all. You don't want to see my scalp in that situation.
I mean, cornrows and various protective styles are a solution to a challenge. It's not like we just made this shit up to be extra, although we love to be extra. Like, it's a solution to an issue because our hair texture is different and we have to care for it differently. So I don't understand why that is being missed in this step of appropriation, because it always looks wrong when we see these boxer braids.
I know.
And the Viking inspired looks. And I'm just like, you don't use Vikings as inspiration for any other.
Who told you this looks good?
Here's the thing. The people who are descended from that line will be like, that's not what it looks like. And the best part is I wish I had brought these, because there are TikToks of people putting braids like yours, T, on like a Viking statue, being like, you mean like this? Is this what you're talking about? Vikings were wandering around with this? And like really just reading people to filth. And it's white people reading other white people, white on white crime. And I live for it. I'm
real
like,
scourge.
Okay, I saw one today that was like white on white crime, and they were like, if you're bored this summer, I'm totally paraphrasing, if you're bored this summer, next time one of your girlfriends says something is ghetto, just ask them why. Like, and just keep asking why. And it was like a short, sweet little, like, she looked like, speaking of a cheerleader, like very preppy, like I was expecting this was going to go badly. Yeah. And then she said that and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to like that.
Yeah, because it was a weird time. Like the way that people even then would use it, like Vikings wore braids. I'm like, no, they did not wear these braids. Like it's fine.
They made shit up just to try to gaslight you. Like, all cultures have worn cornrows. It's just like, yeah, if you appropriated it, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, if Black Twitter existed, we would have been able to have this discourse and be like, no, this is what Vikings look like. This is what Egyptians look like. This is what by the way, Egyptians are black, but like,
like Egypt is in Africa.
But it just, we would have been able to show people, which they will still cling to it. And my thing is this, if you want to culturally appropriate, just do it. Stop trying to make BS excuses behind it. Just say, I don't care about your culture. I want to wear braids. All right, I'm going to let you go bald. That's your business. But like, don't try to
enjoy your scalpy braids. Just I'm a cultural colonizer. That's what I do.
Yeah. And that's fine. I ain't gonna be mad at you then. I'll just stop arguing.
Just, like, stand up in it, you know? It's not like, and clearly this is not something that can be punished or enforced in any way.
Thank you.
We call it out, and either people are shamed into not doing it anymore, or they start with the gaslighting, shuck and jive, like, actually, and it's just like, no, actually, you clearly have read 0 books because you're making things up now to justify your appropriation. Okay.
Or the best part, like TikTok is getting mean in these streets, and the best part about it is,
I'm gonna leave this up for the rest.
Stop it. I'm finished with you. I'm leaving. Stream over. I'm gone. But no,
Is that the pre-stretched?
No, they had this like white lady who had did like a whole thing, you know, that "We Do Not Care" song, and she had her braids in, and she's like and flipping everybody off. Then they have what happened to her, which is she had to shave her head bald.
Mm-hmm. She bald head.
Yeah. And she was like, I had an allergic reaction to the hair. No, baby. Like,
this was never for you.
Yeah.
It's a solution to a problem, or I should say an obstacle, because our hair is not a problem. It's a solution to make our lives easier. This was never for you.
Yeah. So like, what were you doing? Like, and that was the thing. And like, you did that. And for what? You did that to gaslight and upset Black people, which now you just have people like going into, there's one woman, I need to find her, but she goes into these things with the most sarcasm and the kindest way possible. Like, you know what? I love your braids. Wear them proudly. Wear them for 3 weeks. It's wild and it's wonderful and I enjoy it. Like, she goes on this whole thing. She's like, you do you.
I don't know if it's the same person, but there is somebody that I follow who has done that, where it's just like, and then there was one that I saw where it was like, put heat on that.
Yes.
Like just giving advice, and everyone in the comments is like, you can feel the energy of like, we're trying not to laugh. But
yes. Like there's like Black people being like, they need to put that relaxer on overnight, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, like, when I see like the modern iterations of Timberlake or Bex with the braids, I'm not angry or outraged because I'm used to it. It's just like, okay, here we go again. And more to the point, like, this is fuck around and find out the hairstyle.
Yeah, because we saw what happened to Justin Bieber.
Like,
did you see his scalp after he took the dreads out? His scalp.
Enjoy. I'm good, love. Enjoy your corn rolls. Your corn braids, whatever you want to call them, because y'all don't even know what to call them.
I know. There was a girl with like
your corn braids.
She just had like 2 little braids, 2 little plaits with like, y'all upset that you never seen a white girl with cornrows, and we're like, I don't think you know what those are.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweetie, you have pigtails.
Yeah.
I know. Right now. Yeah, my other one I think we already talked about was like the WB frog.
Good.
Which was,
I'm with you, Mel.
Yeah.
Makes blood hot.
They're like corn rolls.
Rolls, corn braids.
You get that smile that starts cracking.
Chile.
You're like,
woo, Chile.
woo, Chile, honey, period. Corn braids. I was so funny though. Like, the WB frog was one of those things where I was like, we needed Black Twitter, because that was a mess. And he was there for so long and would just like introduce shows, video bar, and we're like, does anybody else? Okay, I know that the frog isn't Black, but
I mean, that was the most minstrel shit they could have done without literally putting the frog in blackface.
Yes.
It was like slavery. Like every time. I was just like, I'm pretty sure it's too late for this to still be happening.
It really was. I can't. I'm done with it. Because you did the slavery dance of it. I'm trying to get it together. Hold on now. Give me a second.
It was it's so late.
I wasn't expecting that part. I'm lost.
Yeah.
I was already cry laughing. Like, that's already happened. Less than 30 minutes into this, I'm cry laughing.
I had to snatch my spirit back in. I was like, wait, come back now. Because it was just, because we all remember the crows, and then they like stopped having the black crows, and that would just be up there being like. So.
Oh. And it was one of those things where, like, even if you're a child and you don't necessarily know the history of minstrel shows, you're just in there like, this feels racist.
Thank
like,
you.
You don't know why. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Shiase. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yay. Yeah, I think if you don't know what it is, you know it's not right.
Yeah, it's just like,
this.
Name something that feels racist. Cracker Barrel.
110% agree.
Every day. I feel like when are they going to change their name to something else? It's time.
I mean, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. It's just too easy. Just
fish in a cracker barrel, as it were.
Yeah. Wait, T, I think you came with. I think it's your turn because I was like, I think you have more.
Turn? Okay. Well, I do have another one. And that's, y'all know I'm having too much fun with these screen shares.
Trigger warning.
Honestly.
I'm going to start yelling this now.
Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm.
Wait, but I love that.
My pop punk heart just.
I love it though.
Wait, you're right, because if Black Twitter was around then.
I know.
And I will say, like, I have definitely, like, 10-year-old T or whatever, like, sung along to that song and had no, like, major issues with it. But I needed a Black Twitter at the time to be like, baby girl, no.
I know.
I mean, look at this.
I thought, didn't they get, like, Michael Jackson's blessing?
They would have to have, because he was still alive at the time as well. So it wouldn't have been someone managing his estate and just being like, give me all the money. But nonetheless, I mean, look at this. The guy with the
love it. I can't let go.
Shaved into the middle of his head. Like, that's not a part. He's got a bust
shaved in. Yeah.
A part? What? No.
You know what though? I think it's because I have like a different appreciation for the song, because not too long after all of this was released, they were in like a bus accident and he almost died, and he had to go through like all of this stuff to like be able to perform again. And so it made me like super appreciative, but you are right.
Well, no, you're not the only one. AT is with you. AT
and Hunter, I'll cry a little.
Listen, this is more something that I came to regret recently. In fact, after I drunkenly pitched you guys this live stream on Zoom, I was just like, we need to do this live. And then like a week later, this song came on the radio. I was just like adding this to my list. Like, I remember being in the car and be like, this should have never happened.
Isabel in the chat. And just like the movies. I love it. I'm so excited.
Sorry, I loved Alien Ant Farm, and I still do, but you're absolutely right. That song could have been demolished.
I will put it this way. This song can be a pleasure, but it should be classified as a guilty pleasure. You should feel a little guilty for still liking it. And at this point, I don't know if I do, because when it came in the car, I was incensed. Like, I didn't have that say. I'm just going to sing along like I did when I was a kid. I was just like,
I was such a like pop punk nerd. That was before I got into right before I got into metal. I had like my pop punk going, and then I felt like I was just like way into like Tool and Rammstein, and just started getting like more and more metal. So that was like right up my alley, and just like the guitar work on it, and like I love the homages in the video. Like I was like, yes, but like the haircut, like I wish they would have worn better outfits.
Yeah.
I
it's settled on if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it was never broke, and that's why I'm like salty about it retroactively. Because again, as a kid, I was just like, sure, I'll take a new version.
And I am not a proponent of guilty pleasures, because I think guilt is like a wasted thing. But that I'll give you that. That's a guilty pleasure. Like anything else where I'm like, this is bad, but I like it. I'm just like, I like it.
I will look somebody directly in the face when like this song or like Party in the USA is playing and sing it with no shame. Like I don't care. I will look you in the eye too. If you're like, this is lame, I'm like, we're doing this. Like we're doing it. Like, don't let me go on a trip with y'all. Like
Noted. Party in the USA. Oy.
Listen, I can't help myself. It does something to my spirit.
All right, who's next?
I feel like it could possibly be me. So every single rapper that was like hanging out with Fred Durst, that you had Method Man, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, like all like that whole thing could have just been like that. There was no reason for that. Fred Durst, like
for rappers to ever hang out with Fred Durst.
Correct.
I don't think anyone should hang out with Fred Durst.
Correct. Have you seen his movies? Thank you. That's
movies?
Wait.
We lost audio for you, Emily.
Oh,
yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Fred Durst is a reason for Black Twitter, period. He didn't even need any rappers. But we needed Black Twitter to just...
Durst. Who's next? Go.
Beckham, I guess.
Beckham is not a multiple offender, but I feel like Timberlake, multiple offender.
Oh,
Durst?
yeah.
Like, even just the name Durst. It sounds like dirt.
Yeah.
And like the whole like red cap backwards, like the whole whole thing. Yes, Bo, sit down, sir. Okay.
Yeah, he was like kind of trying to be a hip hop guy, and that's probably why he tried allying with rappers so much.
Yeah, it was no, sir. It was
a
whole
processing
thing.
That he had movies as so many.
Yeah, so I feel like it was a 2020 movie that he came out with, and he was the director, and it had old boy from Final Destination, the first one, as the lead character, and it also had John Travolta.
The Elvin chap. He looks very elf-like.
Eminem is another one. Okay.
Oh Lord. Could we have stopped Eminem?
Devin Sawa.
Twitter.
No,
I'm sorry. Again?
Devin
Sawa.
Sawa.
Oh, right, that guy.
Yeah, so Devin Sawa and
guy,
like
with the brown hair.
Yes,
this is how I tell white boys apart. The one with the brown hair.
Not Ethan. He was in Lord of the Rings, right? That's what you're thinking of.
Who?
Blue eyes
That's
and brown
Orlando
hair.
Bloom.
No, there was another one in Lord of the Rings.
You talk about the guy who played Frodo?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not that.
Okay.
Yeah, Elijah Wood. No, he's not that.
Elijah Wood. Well, you said Elvin and then brown hair.
I want to say he was in that Katie Holmes movie, Disturbing Behavior, perhaps.
James Marsden.
There are so many generic actors.
Oh, I don't think it's the same guy. But
No,
I know
I'm thinking of a guy who's like very like elf-like in his features. I'm not sure,
like evil elf.
Yeah, but although I don't think elves are
because of his eyebrows
historically. According to canon. Thank you for the super chat. Do you think Black Twitter would have helped our Black entertainers, producers, and rappers be accountable for co-signing these folks' cultural? I don't know. I mean, this is completely speculative, and I don't know if the entertainers are even the ones doing that now. I feel like there is power, like, people talk about like cancel culture, blah, blah, blah. It's not even that. It's letting people know, like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just put that away.
That is why I think that there has been better awareness about things like, hey, maybe don't wear a native headdress to Coachella anymore. Like, that is because of Twitter.
Yes.
And other social media. And for that reason, I think a lot of this kind of shit with like the white boy dreads and the braids, they wouldn't have taken off the way that they were able to, because there was no one, or at least there wasn't a mechanism, there wasn't a vessel for people to be like, no.
Yeah, because like the way that people were able to see that on their faves and then try to emulate it, which they just didn't understand that like these were weaves. So first of all, these were weaves, but in not trying this, not understanding where they got it from. K-Fed, listen.
He came to mind when I was making my list. I was just like, oh Lord, he's another one.
Not only would K-Fed not have been allowed if Black Twitter was around. This was like one that I kind of had on the back burner, but K-Fed would not have been allowed to get with Brittany had Black Twitter been around.
That
we would have nipped that in the bud. Been like, there's no way our queen is doing this. No, we are not letting the pop princess get with this loser.
I actually think the whole Brittany shaved head situation would have gone down completely different.
Now this is interesting.
Yes.
Like, I think that there was a way that it was being spun that I felt, like I did that same shit. The way we were talking about it, like, I just think it would have happened different. Maybe the final, where we're at now, wouldn't have changed, but I think the conversation that regular people were having about it, I think would have been different.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Somebody said Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Not the Funky Bunch. Leave them out of it. This is Marky Mark's problem.
Yeah, I enjoyed feeling the vibration.
But that actually segues into my next one, if y'all are ready.
Trigger warning, I am ready.
Trigger warning.
Ready with my drink.
Informer, blah 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 blah. I like your boom boom down. Yeah. I mean, Snow walked so that Chet Hanks could run. You're dealing with Chet Hanks because of this guy.
Not Chet Hanks.
I hate it.
I hated everything about him. Even then, I hated it. Yeah. Okay, I hated the glasses.
And to be clear, he is not Jamaican. Jamaican is a nationality, is not a race. So there are white Jamaicans. He ain't one of them.
He's Canadian, isn't he?
Yes. But I think there is a large Caribbean population in Canada, and I think he was just hanging out with a bunch of Jamaicans. But Snow was Jamaican. No. I hate it.
I remember when this came out, and I hated it. That was like the one thing, and I hated it also because I hated it, and then I hated that it was catchy, so it would come on and you would just find yourself being like, and then give him that, and you're like, don't look at me.
Damn, like you catch yourself.
I know.
You want to hate it more? In pulling this image, I discovered that his website is daddysnow.com. Don't go there. Don't do it. But yeah,
this is me pushing back down
Daddy Snow
in my throat from that.
Yeah.
The fact that he has a website, which means he thinks he's still relevant.
I felt in my soul that he had just disappeared into the recesses of my mind, but now knowing he has his own website, I can't not look because of curiosity.
Yeah, I was hopeful that he had disintegrated into a cloud of spores, but in fact, he's very much alive, and he has daddysnow.com. He's still paid up on his GoDaddy Snow payments because the website is functional.
Oh my God.
The way the worst people, the people we want to go away, are the ones that live like cockroaches.
Yeah, they really do. A nuclear war came and he just survived even without his head. I'm sorry. I know too much about roaches and I'm sorry.
It's like, why did music has been like the recurring theme tonight because it's everywhere. Like, this was already in my head, but it was in the chat earlier. Like, Pink, when she had the very short actual pink hair. And I remember people thinking she was black. And I was like, no, she's just a white girl with a deep voice.
That was really weird how people were like,
in a one drop rule context, like, like someone on her side,
yes,
like someone in her family is black kind of thing. But yeah, I remember that being generally assumed. And I was just like, why do y'all think that?
I remember like, not really white. Like, really
that looks like a white woman.
Like when her first video came out, like I remember being a fan because I mean I did listen to a lot of different music growing up, and I remember I was a fan of hers. And then the video came out, and I saw people being like, "She's white," and I was like, y'all could act less surprised. How about that? Like,
I feel like we heard her voice and they thought like there were people who heard her voice and thought she was black, and I never thought that. I feel like a lot of people, white people in general, like don't know the difference between somebody singing in black and like actually black. Like, so I do know that, like, I can hear it. Now there are occasions where it takes a moment, like Adele, it took me a moment when I just heard it. But then like there are certain notes that are hit where I'm like, yeah, that's a white woman. And that's okay. I ain't mad at it. She could sing. But I was just like, I can hear the difference. There's like, we have a different form of vibrato.
I think it was just like, I looked at her and I was like, that's a white woman. Yeah. And that was it.
It didn't even read us like, oh, it's a couple of drops. I was just like, she's
doing the equations, minority
short hair.
I was just like, that's a white woman. Why y'all talking about she black, huh? What y'all talking about?
It was really weird, and I'm just like, just because she's not cookie cutter in the way you're expecting pop singers to be, or I guess R&B singers to be, doesn't mean she's magically black. It just didn't make any sense.
It wouldn't surprise me if someone from the label planted that rumor to literally give her street cred. I mean, that's how that would work. Joss Stone was another one who I don't think anyone ever like insinuated that she had black in her, but like, well, she must if she sounds like that. Like that was kind of the rhetoric around it.
It was such a like that whole actually that entire time period where if white women could sang,
yes,
where people would immediately be like, they must have black in them, and I'm like, or it's weird that y'all would downplay your own race's ability to do something.
Right.
Y'all should just be proud.
I mean, if anything, it kind of speaks to the paranoia of so many white people around like someone not being 100% white. It's just like, explain this sorcery. You know, it's just like,
I know. Sorcery. Like we're doing now where they're like
this is why y'all have the one drop rule. Y'all are so worried.
I know, like you should see them attacking black people being like, you're Asian fishing. And we're like, I don't know how to tell you all this, but Asian people aren't the only ones with almond eyes and monoliths. Thank you. Have a good day. They're the only ones.
Very true.
Who can't tell.
Also, like the word Asian, you were underestimating just the amount of people. Also, Hunter.
I remember that she was always wandering around barefoot. And I was like, "Girl, you dirty feet."
Well, you know, Fantasia, who is definitely a black woman, she loves to kick those shoes. Like when she kicks her shoes off, it's about to get real with Fantasia. That's
but like, I feel like, this isn't singing, but this is the entirety of Tom Green would not have been allowed in Flags Twitter exists.
Wow, I actually forgot about Tom Green for like a month of my life, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like the entirety of Tom Green's career just would not have been there. Because nothing he did was funny or interesting. He made an entire movie that bros quoted all the time. Like it was horrible.
Like Freddie Got Fingered. What was he?
Yes. That was it.
How I've never even seen
Lizard
that.
Brain.
I've never even seen that.
I feel like I've seen something about like with sausages, but can I have some sausage? I think I've seen that. Can I have some sausages? And then I leave the room.
Is that Devon Sawa as well?
I don't know.
Devon Sawa was in a lot of movies in that.
He had a movie.
Devon Sawa got around.
Yeah. Yeah, I had
that
successfully
sounds like such an influencer name. Ahead of his time.
Right?
Devon Sawa sounds like someone who would have 17 million TikTok followers.
Because really Devon is also to me, it feels like a very androgynous name. So I could see like any gender person being.
I've known Devons of both who identify as female and male.
Yeah. I just saw Daddy Cat have some sausage in the chat and like lost it again.
But literally AT. Like that's literally Ashanti's voice on many tracks that have J-Lo's name on them. But that's another
Hey.
I'm glad that J-Lo routinely gets dragged for that now, though. Like,
yes, like I love people who are like, J-Lo can't sing. These are all the people who were singing for. I'm like, ooh.
Yes.
I don't
and that's
think
why
I
it's good to
ever
have Black Twitter.
knew that, but I also thought that the J-Lo green dress moment would have been an interesting moment to have Black Twitter. When she had that dress that was like very low cut, the jump was
Versace.
Yes.
Would that have been dragged though? I feel like that's still very iconic.
Oh no, we drag it now. Oh, Twitter drags it because we cannot stand that every turn she pulls, like every time she's like slightly irrelevant, she pulls that dress out and like flashback to this moment of me in the dress.
I didn't even know she was doing that.
I just Black Twitter somebody in the comments, we drag her for that dress. We're like, if J-Lo don't burn that dress.
That's the thing that it's one of those dresses that like was so like show stopping and showed so much skin, but then I still think about like Lil' Kim with literally her boob out on a nipple cover, but showing less skin than that J-Lo dress. But who got the like huge reaction negatively, and then who got a huge reaction positively?
Yeah, very true. And I mean, I feel like Lil' Kim's moment was equally iconic. It just was not received the same way because I wonder. But also, to be fair, to have your entire titty out would probably read a bit different even now.
Well, don't you remember Diana Ross?
Yeah, just
bap bap.
She did.
Little
she was
titty
like, see, like Black Twitter, like everybody is on Black Twitter. It's like you pull that dress out all the time, girl. Burn that dress. See, I swear, it feels like
it was
every 6 months or so the discourse.
I mean, there weren't even memes then, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone famously they were nominated for South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Blame Canada. Wow, I am like.
Yeah, that was a good. That was a good.
Blame Canada was nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars that year, so they were there, and they showed up with Matt Stone dressed as Gwyneth Paltrow from the previous Oscars in the pink dress, and Trey wore a version of the J-Lo Versace dress. Useless information. This is why I can't remember where I parked my car.
Same. I can remember the most random tidbits of pop culture or old job stuff. Like stuff that's no longer relevant to me with that old jobs I will remember. But basic things like where I put pillowcases after I washed them. I have no idea.
Yeah, or like I'll be looking
they did that though.
That's literally in my hand. I'm just like, where is my goddamn phone?
I know.
Where are my glasses? And I'm wearing them.
But yeah, I swear that because of that, like people who didn't know who Brian Boitano was, I did because I'm a nerd.
Same.
But because of that movie, like people were like, who's Brian Boitano? Like he suddenly like came to like pop culture in a way he had never expected. It was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm Brian Boitano.
That movie is great. Nat fam, we're watching that on a movie night. I'm declaring it.
I'm for that. Listen, you know what? I've decided, I start taking ownership of my movies now. I'm just like, we're gonna watch Event Horizon because I want to.
I love that you picked all yours. I've been much more dictator or much more democratic, and then the last one I was just like, we're watching Hackers. What did we pick? You were there because we're doing blockbusters on
True Lies.
True Lies,
right?
Yeah, if y'all aren't on our Patreons, y'all better get your life.
You should.
Yes, because the movie nights are good times.
Thank you, Anthony. I don't taste it though. My life is much better now. With that, I'm going to share my fifth and final one. But if y'all have more, feel free to chime in after this. Trigger warning.
Thank you.
Literally for this one.
Oh God, I'm not ready.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh my God.
Now this came up more recently and he has issued an apology and the yada. He's addressed this, but again, this very similar to the WB frog. When it was happening, I was just like, it's too late for this. Why is this like I remember feeling like I was taking crazy pills because when it happened in the moment, I was just like, they're doing this now in whatever year this was. Too recent. That's what year it was. Too doggone recent.
I don't know if I saw this originally.
But you know what? I am not surprised because Sarah Silverman and him used to be together. So
true.
I'm going to take that down because literally trigger. But yeah,
I'm like
that was something to me where I was flabbergasted in real time. Like when I saw, I was just like, and he had been known for doing Karl Malone, I think on the Man Show. I don't remember if it happened several times, but I feel like that was kind of a bit he was known for. And then he also did on, remember, Crank Yankers? Ooh, the throwback. He also did like a Karl Malone puppet prank phone call on that show. And I was just like, you guys, you can't actually do the blackface though. Like, what is happening? And I feel like that apology, not only would it not have been 10 years later, maybe more than that, but I feel like there would have been a level of awareness had there been a Black Twitter at the time that wouldn't have happened in the first place.
Thank you.
You shouldn't have needed to be told that, but apparently culture had not shifted enough pre-Black Twitter for that to not be obvious.
That like, I'm trying to like oh God.
Yeah, I'm like, when was this actually? Like,
I don't remember the exact year, but I would say it was post 2000. So
early 2000s era.
Early 2000s. I would estimate early 2000s.
That
the Man Show in general.
New meaning to too soon. That happened too soon. That was not the frickin' 1920s. And it wouldn't have been okay then either, but a lot of other people were still doing it then.
Set me on fire. Actually set him on fire. That's fine.
Yeah, set him on
fire. I prefer that.
Yeah, like set him on fire. But the amount of, listen, there were so, like, if you start getting into movies and the just amount of stuff that was happening.
The comedy was not
like Dane Cook. I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to go with this one.
Wait, bum us out. Listen, I remember everybody loving Sarah Silverman so much, and I didn't like anything about her.
I used to be a fan of hers, and then I felt that she didn't continue to develop as a comedian. I feel like the shtick of like, oops, did I just say the C word? I felt like that shtick got very old for me very quickly. But I was into her when I was younger because, it's probably a good thing I wasn't ever on Twitter because I probably would have said some edgy things that would have gotten me canceled too.
I still feel like to this day, the women comedians that are kind of like allowed to get popular are purposely not funny so that the whole lie of women just aren't funny can be perpetuated. Because I'm like, Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, do I need to say anything else? I don't think so.
Is that
like
Eilish?
I mean, I've been fans of both of them at different points. Amy Schumer has been popped for stealing jokes too many times for me to let that go. So we've moved on. I tend to watch mostly, I mean, I'm biased, but I tend to watch mostly Black comedians anyway.
Yeah.
So they were never like my tippity tops, but I remember laughing at their specials, like if I happened to catch them on TV or something. But both of them, I feel like I just kind of moved on.
I feel like all of my favorite comedians like passed away, so like I kind of stopped watching because like Greg Giraldo, like he like
another OD.
Yeah, so like some like and him and Mitch Hedberg like right near each other, and I was just like at that point I was just like I can't because then we got stuck with that like horrible era of Dane Cook. Be like, you know what I like? A nothing fight when people are just like fighting about nothing, and it was like. All right, like, and he's just like
another guy who loves to steal jokes. By the way,
yes. And didn't Joe Rogan, when Joe Rogan had any form of integrity, just like viciously attack him? He attacked him, and he got after
Mencia.
Yes, Carlos Mencia.
Joe Rogan with integrity. I don't know that person.
That was a thing. He actually used to like. Because he used to not make a lot of money is the thing. He used to not get paid millions of dollars to be an asshole. So like, he was only getting paid like.
Joe Rogan was the host of Fear Factor, and that was the only thing he had going on.
The only thing.
And then remember when he was also the other guy on the Man Show after Adam Carolla and Kimmel quit, and it was him and fucking Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, I did not remember that. I remember him on that TV show. Was it called TV Radio? That had
News Radio
because I remember
News
Phil
Radio.
Hartman, and Joe Rogan and
Yep.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
it's like
I would have never predicted Joe Rogan would go from those things to this.
I would not have either. And Black Twitter was here. He still just made it. He still just made it on by. But like, yeah, he really went after. He was really big about like that was one of the things I did like about him and why I used to like Joe Rogan is he would aggressively call like he got into it with Carlos Mencia on stage.
I remember this now that you're talking about it.
Yes.
And wasn't Walt and the lizard brain.
Thank you. Like he wasn't playing around. And like when that happened, like Carlos Mencia just disappeared.
He has not been back. Dane Cook managed to survive like a cockroach with his head cut off.
I'm shocked.
What does he do now?
Yeah.
He still does stand-up.
For who?
Suckers?
The frat boy nation is what I'm gonna say because I feel like that was his audience back then.
Because he was like the hot boy of comedy, but he wasn't hot. And that's what really bothered me. Is I was like, he's not hot. I'm
not at all.
Remember, he was in Good Luck Chuck, where
he was doing movies. Yeah,
I don't think I ever saw Good Luck Chuck, but
I didn't see Good Luck Chuck, but I remember he was huge. He was like selling out Madison Square Garden kind of comedian level, which is like that's pretty much as big as it gets. When you're selling out Madison Square, that's it, you made it. And then he got popped for stealing jokes, and he kind of had to fall back a bit, but it ultimately has not stopped his career.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just I feel like he was just telling basic stories that weren't. The thing that was funny, like I look back now and I realize what was funny wasn't the actual joke. It was like what he was doing. So
his
like
shtick was screaming also. It was almost borderline Sam Kinison kind of vibe.
Yes.
Which
I actually don't like Sam Kinison. Don't anybody get mad at me, but I don't like because I don't like being screamed at like that.
Never
for like
been
a long
fan.
period.
I mean,
I didn't like
R.I.P. and everything, but I was not a fan of Kinison.
Okay, then I don't feel bad because I always hate to say that when you tell people who like comedy that you don't like Sam Kinison, they look at you like you're just a monster from the toilet. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't, every time I watch, he's just like, wah!
Yeah. I mean, not wanting to be screamed at is a very reasonable desire. So, yeah. Yeah. Also, the chat is talking about Lena Dunham, and I'm just like, unfortunately, we weren't able to stop that.
Yeah, I feel like the the power of Black Twitter had not yet crystallized to put a stop to Lena Dunham.
Because now we like show up en masse and we're like, did y'all see this? And we don't stop. Because like the Justin Timberlake thing, somebody blew it up on Black Twitter being like, I can't believe we let Justin Timberlake get away with this, or I'll never forgive Justin Timberlake for doing it. And they showed him doing his like beatbox.
I was just about to bring that up. I was just like, as soon as she finishes talking, I'm going to bring up Timberlake beatboxing.
Please, because that, like, when you watch the patheticism, like how sad that beatbox, like I can't beatbox, okay? I know
the mediocrity drip of it all. It's just like, wow, like people are so proud of you for doing something that so many other people can do so much better than you, but they'll never have the platform that you do because of reasons.
Yes, because he was legit sitting there. And we're like,
I'm kidding. He never did that move. That's old school.
Like, I'll be in my car and I won't even try to do the like. I can't believe you're over there. I'm finished. Let me. All right, I didn't want you to have to listen something rudely, but like,
oh my goodness! Thank you for the super chat, Black Twitter 1959. And I'm guessing that 1959 was the time that you made your profile on a 24-hour clock, because there ain't no way.
Facts.
Ain't no way you were born in 1959 looking at that Abby girl. Y'all got any others left?
I don't think I have any more. I think I did most of mine that I had like off the cuff.
The dome.
Yeah, I think
that was my 5. To recap, Timberlake, Beckham, Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm, Infama, and finished it off with a nice little bit of blackface from Jimmy Kimmel. Blackface and body, because they had to do his arms too. Should I bring the screen back up?
No. Okay, we will survive without
anyone that's watching can rewind, even if you're live. And I still said the word rewind. Whatever, you can go back and see the.
You were alive in the '90s when that was still a thing.
Yes, like somebody put up a TikTok where they were like, some of you have never had to go like this to a compact disc and it shows.
Or
I was gonna say
cartridge.
Yeah, some of you have never felt the pain of somebody recording over your favorite show on VHS and it shows.
Or if I don't blow in the cartridge, I would like
up again. Or I'm confused by this.
Yo, I just found a cassette tape in a drawer, and I'm like, I have no way of playing this, but I must know what's on it, and I don't want to buy a cassette player because they've suddenly just exploded in price.
I still have mixtapes from childhood, and I'm like, I don't want to get rid of these because I can still read what's on them, like on the little part where you write in the songs, and I'm like, nostalgia. I can't even listen to them.
I mean, obviously Vanilla Ice, if Black Twitter existed, because like, here's the thing, it's not even Ice Ice Baby. It's not even him trying to explain that he didn't plagiarize that song. What it is,
their song goes ding 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 ding, but my song goes ding 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 ding. In a nutshell, what Mr. Robert Van Winkle, that was his defense for not plagiarizing Queen. Anyway,
by the way, I just want y'all to know, Mansfield, Texas, almost every New Year, he plays at Fat Daddy's for New Year's Eve. I shit you not. But what really got me, where we needed Black Twitter, was when he wore that hideous jacket,
the 8-ball
on In Living Color, I believe, when he was the musical guest.
Yeah,
and I think it said "Word to your mama" or something. Word to your mom.
Lyrics, like that's one of his things.
But it was bejeweled, Emily. Yeah. Bejeweled. It was a bejeweled jacket.
Heavily bedazzled. You know, he
bedazzling is another thing. Black Twitter.
If I'm not mistaken,
what?
He's a real estate mogul now. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's just, you know.
Why am I surprised?
Yeah. Brenda Lee was like, I think of that often. See, mine has an extra ding, so it's not the same. Here's the thing: it's the way he said it. He's like, mine has an extra ding, so it's not the same. Like he literally was like he stood in that.
Just on some colonizer delusion. Like, I see things and I don't expect there to be consequences.
Oh my God.
I don't have consequences.
I know.
My name is Robert Van Winkle. I don't have consequences.
Because he thought he'd get out of it by talking about like all the stuff that Suge Knight did to him. And we're like,
well, you know what? Suge Knight should have let go. I don't know what I'm talking about. Look it up.
Like, there's a lot of things you could have done, but just taking an entire beat from Queen is not, or Bowie. Now I'm confused because the chat has different.
Bowie, like, I think, wrote Under Pressure with Freddie Mercury.
Okay, yes. Okay. Because I was like, I don't know my music history well enough.
That was one of the world's happiest musical accidents because they happened to be in the studio at the same time.
Oh, thank you.
And Bowie was walking by and ducked his head in, and Queen was like, "Come on in." You know, Freddie was, and then they did that whole thing.
That moment,
I mean, between Snow and Vanilla Ice, they were definitely leaning in. And even, you know, Chet Hanks, that's not his government. His government name isn't Chet.
What is his government name?
It's something else.
You're just like, I know it.
I thought you knew what it was, and I was like ready to like learn. I was like, let me sync up this knowledge.
Is short for Chester.
Oh dear God, it got worse.
Oh,
Chester Marlon Hanks, by the way.
Marlon, that's a black name, I will say.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was looking up Ed Westwick because he showed up on my YouTube for whatever.
Is
his
that
name
Chuck from Gossip Girl?
Yeah.
His real name is like Edward Peter Jack West. Like, what? Yes. Why would you have middle names as Peter and Jack? Like, I can't remember if it's Peter and Jack, Peter Jack, or Jack Peter. But either way,
Don't do that.
Terrible names together. Terrible names.
Yeah.
No.
Edward Jack Peter Westwick.
We got some backup on Marlon being. It's a very black name. It's one of those names where, like, I guess it could go either way, but like when I see Marlon or I'm like Dante, like I'm going to make certain presumptions.
Yeah. I wouldn't think of anybody like Vice.
No wonder he's tripping on like thinking he's a black man. His middle name is Marlon. He's deluded.
Okay, but why is Wikipedia so cruel or sharp? His little bio is like top thing. As a musician, Hanks had a viral song, White Boy Summer, that no one knew about.
You know why? Because it's edited by people like us.
Right?
So someone was just like, someone probably who's on Black Twitter was just like, I'm going to have to make some corrections.
Because I was like, he has a viral song. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was on a whole thing in the summer where he's talking about that it was going to be a white boy summer. And we were like,
yes.
Isn't that every summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of love Wikipedia that it's written by randos, to be honest.
Which, by the way, is appropriating Hot Girl Summer. So he's like rejudging IP from a black woman. So
I think he thinks he can because he's
one.
always a black woman hunting, I guess. Is that a thing?
Yeah, he strikes me as the type who probably fetishizes black women, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I didn't realize he turned it into a whole song. I remember seeing that he kept threatening to make it a white boy summer just through like video posts through like the black accounts I follow on Instagram. But I was just like, what does that even entail that's different from any other summer?
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of sandals and
board shorts.
Yeah, board shorts and the other ones that have all the pockets. Also those weird yacht shoes. Like
berries, topsiders.
Oh
yeah.
No, he went in a different direction. Again, according to Wikipedia, the video shows him with scantily clad women, the Mary Jane, and a Jamaican flag.
What?
It has been criticized for cultural appropriation. Is the sentence after that?
I'm telling you guys, Snow walked so that Chet Hanks could run. This is what we're dealing with this fuckery. The Jamaican flag.
Yeah.
Shaggy must be sitting in his grave. Is Shaggy dead? I don't think so.
No, he's alive. Shaggy's alive.
Take it back.
Yeah. It wasn't me.
Sorry,
she's alive. Thinking about it, I can't stand y'all board shorts.
And the sunburn, pastel polos, the sunburns.
I think Bruno Mars is Filipino.
Whatever he is, he decides whatever is most convenient for whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's Filipino.
Yeah.
Shaggy just did a commercial. Good for him. What was it for?
Snow.
It was either for Lay's potato chips or it had to be progressive because that's where random music stars are showing up. It's like progressive and like Lay's potato chips. Sunburnt summer.
Shaggy is in a Little Mermaid live. My God, Shaggy's working.
Yeah.
Oh, Doritos commercial with me. Oh my.
Oh, that's it. You're right.
I didn't even know there was such a commercial.
Was
it a Super Bowl commercial?
Wait, Shaggy was on Good Morning America last week.
Shaggy just be getting around.
Shaggy just did a song with Sean Paul, according to the chat.
Yeah, like
Shaggy busy.
Oh yeah, Sean Paul. You remember that fire ass song?
No.
I feel like there was a lot of songs that sounded the same to me from Sean Paul.
I think all Sean Paul songs sound the same.
So it was like there was a song.
Well,
I feel like there was one Sean Paul song. They were
all just like slightly remixed, and it's got a new name. And I was like,
they were all just variations of temperature. They were all varying temperatures. Don't listen. Still subscribe to my channel. Don't not subscribe because of that horrible joke.
The horrible joke should be why you subscribe, because the humor is on
Is this a correction, or is he also in a Cheetos commercial? Because someone said Doritos. It's the same brand.
Yeah.
Both Frito-Lay. You know what? I don't care. Don't bother correcting that.
I know,
just
like,
chips,
don't let us get sucked up into that, right?
Yeah. Any final thoughts, y'all, on other times we might have needed Black Twitter?
I will just say I'm so grateful. Like, here's what I'll say about Twitter. I know that a lot of people think that it's like a cesspool and it's awful, but if you cultivate it correctly, where you're following and only liking stuff that you want to interact with, that's all you're going to get on your timeline. Plus you mute words. And I have found such a lovely community, running into like just all kinds of wonderful Black people from all over the world. And it gives me so much joy to just be able to like kiki. Like, I ugly laugh every day through a Black Twitter thread. And it just like chin down, like that kind of laugh. And I am so grateful for it. So like, I'm so happy that it exists today, because the way that starts going, I lose my mind.
I mean, I'm still not going to join, but I'm glad you have fun.
I joined Twitter when it launched in 2008. I have friends like that I've met in real life and stayed friends because of Twitter. I have people that like I have like connections made, like actually, and then just laughs and hilarious times. And I agree with Audra that like, if you follow the right people, if you don't like the bullshit, if you just like the things that you actually like and not like the messy stuff where you're like, ooh, that was funny, I want to know more. It's like, no, don't like that, because the bullshit will show up. But if you just go, look, I really enjoy it. I get why a lot of people don't, but I find that it's amazing, and you can find a lot of amazing communities of people there. Yeah. But I like also just being able to talk about it over here. So thank you for having us, Kate.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And I feel like I'm completely in agreement with y'all, but also resolute to never join Twitter, because I feel like I see the best of Black Twitter, because people will just like screenshot and then do compilations like the best of Black Twitter this week. So I feel like I still get my drugs, but I don't have to be all in there and like spend the time curating my feed, let alone having people attacking me because they didn't like my last video or something. Like, I still get that plenty directly on YouTube. So I'm like, I don't need another forum for that.
See, and I don't really get a lot of like hate on my videos on Twitter, but I mostly talk a lot of shit on Twitter. I do.
It would be nice to have another venue for that, especially since I'm going to be deplatformed in 5, 4, 2, 1 off Instagram and probably YouTube as well.
Imagine if you had just actually committed to that and ended the stream.
I would have died. That would have been amazing. I would have been like, she is iconic.
Curated and delivered, Hunter. So, yeah, I almost did, but then I wanted to show Hunter's comments. So with that, I want to thank my guests. Thank you, Audra. Thank you
y'all. Thank you for dealing with Bo crawling into my lap.
Stay dangerous. And don't ever do it. Let a white boy get cornrows.